Hello and welcome to the Core Advantage podcast. My name's Durham McInnes.
And I'm Jacob Tober.
On the podcast, we talk about all things sports science, strength and conditioning, and athletic development.
You'll find links, show notes, and references in the podcast details and also on our website.
Okay, welcome everybody to episode 164 of the Random Thoughts Show. Very special guest, Liz Cambage, here today with us. For those of you that don't know, Liz is a multiple Olympian superstar, WNBA superstar. She's won championships with the Boomers, with the Melbourne Boomers, our team. She's an equality warrior across gender and race. She's my longest serving athlete and my third child.
I didn't know I'm the longest serving athlete. I didn't know that.
You're it. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. She's the only person in the history of the universe to be ejected from a game for rolling her eyes. So that's another honor she has. Liz, thanks for coming on the show. I'm super excited to chat to you. You were saying just before we started that you're a little nervous. I'm nervous too because I don't know many people that I'm close to.
I'm nervous and I'm low-key offended that it's only taken 164 episodes for you to want to get me on here and a pandemic and me in quarantine.
The thing is, you just weren't famous enough before, so I felt like I was just holding back on you to motivate you. If you really do well, you can come on our show.
Well, it worked. It worked.
That's good. So look, we're gonna, as I want to, we're gonna jump around a bunch, but I want to hit you with some questions, and I think there's some interesting things we can chat about. The first is, and I'm really excited about this because I think people see such a one-dimensional view of people in the media that you don't know, and it's always really irritated me that you'll see certain things that become magnified that aren't really the person; they're just an angle of that person that got shown. And so I'm excited for people to actually get to know a bit of the real you, who's a wonderful, loyal, funny, crazy, hardworking, loose cannon, but she's our loose cannon is what I always say to people. And also a real warrior for fairness, which is something that I don't think people adequately respected 5 years ago, but I think people are starting to get around it now that actually being willing to go into bat for fairness is a really noble thing. So I want to dive into that a bit later as well. But I'd like to chat about a couple of I've been lucky enough to train you since you were, 14, 15?
13, Durham. It's been way too long. I've been training with you for over 15 years.
A long time. And it's been great. And I've got to see really interesting, I've got to see the journey sort of up close and personal. And you've got to see my journey too. You were one of the first investors in Core Advantage. You have a slice of Core Advantage, which is a really cool thing for me. I really like that. I want to talk about the dunk because the first woman to dunk at the Olympics was, you're already on the map as clearly a superstar on the make, but that was something that was just a huge thing. And I'll never forget where I was watching telly with my wife at the Olympics, and all of a sudden I'm standing in the middle of the land and just shouting, as you did it. Looking back on that now, did that give you as much of a confidence boost as it seemed to me that you felt like that sort of stamped you on the world map a little bit more? Is that how it felt for you?
Yeah, I guess, it really did put my name out there internationally as, the first woman to ever slam dunk at the Olympics. And I think it's an interesting thing because I never really practiced dunking. I never really pushed myself for dunking. It felt like when I was practicing, when I was young and everyone was like, dunk it, Liz, it made me feel like I was a circus trick. So I would never want to do it for other people. And when it happened in the game, it just happened. When I'm playing, it's just I'm in the zone. I'm not aware of what I'm actually doing. It's just the basketball Liz takes over, and it happened. And I don't even react in the game. Everyone else is losing their mind, and I was just they just did it. And it's not even something I was really practicing back then. It's strange that with this break this year and the pandemic, I've been pushing myself so much more to start having fun with dunking. And this is literally 10 years later that I don't know what it is. The past couple of years, all I've wanted to do is just like work so much harder and push myself harder. And I just wish I had this mentality when I was busy being a brat as a teenager.
But you know, I'm actually really glad you didn't have that mentality, because I think it worked out really well, because you didn't hit your strength straps till you were about 19. Like there's a really interesting rule of thumb in the AFL that for every inch over 6'3", you've got to add a year onto their peak development age. So because your nervous system's just taking such a long time to catch up with your body. So although I was excited about you dunking, I never really pushed you to try through all your teen years, because I was like, no, just let that body settle in. Because my view was always, you're gonna, the years between 25 and 35, that's when you're going to really be the player you could have been. So it's kind of worked out. I kind of reckon it's good that but probably if you'd asked me 3 years ago, I would have been a little bit worried that maybe you were going to leave a bit on the table in terms of but the love of the game that you've just sort of reignited, that's been an amazing, it's been so good to watch. It feels like there was the dunk that put you on the map.
Yeah.
And then that season with the Melbourne Boomers with Guy, where prior to that you'd had the Achilles injury and you'd fallen out of love and out of rhythm with basketball, and that really got you back into it. It was a great bunch of girls. Tell us about that, and then tell us about. I'm going to ask you more, if you don't mind, about working out with Kobe and about your hunger to really just be the best basketballer you can be. But tell us about the Boomers, where you were, and how that sort of changed things.
I guess we have to like rewind it to the lead up to the Rio. So let's run it back to the lead up to that 2016 Olympics, and I hated basketball. I didn't want a bar of it. I would be in the clinic with Sam McLeod, our sports psych, like once a week. She was just like getting me through to the Olympics, and if we had like won gold or won a medal at Rio, I probably would have just been done with basketball just then. But I'm lucky that we did so horribly and didn't even medal. That like lit the fire in me, like to keep chasing it. And I knew that I needed a break. I remember at the end of 2016 going to a Boomers game, and Tom Ma was there, and he's like, "What are you doing? Like, you're not playing WNBL? Like, you're going back to WNBA next year?" And I was like, "No, I'm having a year off, and I'm going to go traveling." And I had just turned 25, and I had never had a European summer, so I went and did all that stuff, partied at Mykonos, went to Berlin, did Burning Man, and ticked so many things off my like life bucket list. And I tell everybody who's struggling mentally, may they be an athlete, may they have a 9 to 5 in the office, that they could be creatives, but we all need to like have time away from what we do every day to like reset our brain and find our love for it. And coming back after that I was overseas for like 6 months traveling. Coming back from that to Guy and the Boomers was just the safest, most loving, nurturing like landing place for me. Guy and those girls really helped me find my love again for the sport, and Guy is such a great coach. I have all the time in the world for him and all the girls and the staff at Boomers.
Yeah, it's a pretty good setup, isn't it? It's, some pretty great humans.
Yeah.
And look, it was great too, because I think from a technical note for those, because we do get a few S&C coaches that watch this and listen to this. It was great too, because we had a head coach with a sports science degree. We had a physio with a PhD in rolled ankles and is the Australian Opal's medical services director. And we had me, who's trained you since you were a kid and so knows your body really well. So we just had this perfect combo of getting a good reload as well, because we reloaded you very carefully.
Yeah,
I was quietly terrified for the first 8 weeks, and so it was a pretty good season from all respects.
Yeah,
we didn't go over the line at the end, but I think it was a nice emotional and physical sort of launching pad for your sort of second phase of your career, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that becoming like the go-to player on that team, like I think I had a couple of 42 like 40 point games that season really helped me build my confidence heading back to the WNBA that year.
And because you crushed it that year, so you had that streak of games where you were just destroying. I mean, you had a great entire season. You had that block of games where you were killing it, and the all-time scoring record. Like it was a good year, wasn't it?
It was a good year, but I'm so lucky that I had Kayla George on the team with me, because before I had that record breaking game, we were in Seattle and I had been ejected. I had been fouled out for like 3 of the 5 games before. And I remember grabbing Kayla before that Seattle game, and I was like, babe, like I need to pray with you right now. Like I'm a mess. Like I don't want to be here. I don't think this is my path. I don't think this is my journey. And we were literally like praying in the corridor, and then we played Seattle. I think I got ejected again that game. Like we lost to like by a couple of points or something. Like, and I was like, am I allowed to swear on this? Probably not. Hey.
You can swear.
I was like, F it. I had friends in Seattle that night. Like I went out all night. We had the flight back to Dallas the next morning. I ate well when we got back, like went to bed. Then the next day we had the schools game. And it's when all the like summer kids come to the game. It's like a 12 middle of the day game. Like no one wants to play in the middle of the day. And I don't know what happened, but the higher powers above like shone their light down on me, and I just couldn't miss. Like I was 4 from 5 3-pointers. Like, it was ridiculous, and I was just in the zone, and I had no idea that I had broken the record until someone had told me, like as I got subbed off at the end. Like I just thought I had a really, really good game, and like that was the moment that I was like, you know what, like I'm pretty good at this. And I'll probably keep going at it. And then it just kept rolling, and I just really found my groove. So, oh my God, if I didn't have Kayla that year, she's a sister for life for me. I'm so lucky that I get to play with her. Yeah.
She's a beautiful girl. That's so cool. That's great. I think that's the lovely thing about team sport too, isn't it? That you have people there that can just be at the right time that you need in your life, and it's such a metaphor for the rest of life too. In that you don't really achieve anything completely solo. Like everything's always some. Even solo athletes have a team around them.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It's a blessing and a curse. A team sport.
Yeah,
like I've been on. But I think the most toxic of teams, and then I've been on teams like I am now with the Opals, like the place that the Opals are right now, like the culture Sandy Brondello has enforced back in the Opals, like that's a sisterhood. That's a team.
Yeah. That's great. That's so exciting. I can't wait to see you guys get to actually play. So,
oh my God, like I was so sad about the Olympics getting, like COVID this year really threw me off mentally, but I'm just so lucky we still got a chance next year. Like I just want to get to Tokyo. Yeah.
And it's kind of cool too. I think what's interesting is although a year's passed, you don't have a year's more mileage on your legs. So it's not like it's used up a year of your career. Like you might end up playing just as many games or more in your career, but have had a really good off season in a sense as well. Tell us about that, like that you were talking about that being in that zone. You get in the zone quite a lot. When you're on, you're on. A, what does it feel like? And B, what, if anything, do you do to increase the chances of getting in that zone?
It just happens. It just comes. And I think it comes from like just so many years of playing basketball. Just when I was a junior, when I was a teenager, I had so many like game day rituals to like get me focused and, get me in the zone. Like putting the right sock on before the left sock, the right shoe, like special game day underwear, like had to listen to this song in this order and had to have my purple Gatorade. And you know, when you get to the international playing level, like your routine might not be there. Like when I'm playing in China, I probably can't find, you know, that perfect smoothie I want to have on game day, or my yellow Gatorade.
Yep.
And I think all the years playing in China and just like having to rock up and play and having the shit beaten out of me for 40 minutes and just like being focused on on getting my job done, as that's what really gets me in the zone. And I owe a lot of my game and a lot of my strength and being a go-to player from the years in China of just being the only foreigner um, on the team, because that's why you're signed. You're signed to like score all the points. You're signed, like you're making that money to be the only one to lead this team to a championship. So yeah.
Tell us, so you've opened up, I hadn't even thought about asking you about China, but it's such an interesting area.
Yeah.
Tell us all about China. So, you know, all I know is that you have a difficult time and you get a bit lonely there, and because you're a very social person, you've got you love your friends and you love your family, and it's quite a dislocating experience.
Yeah.
Tell us about that for a little bit. What's it like on a day to day?
I think the hardest thing about China, and I've done a lot of reflecting this year, I think we've all had time to reflect, but the hardest thing about China is that league is on during our summer. So I'm missing like all the summer things. Like I started playing there when I was 20. All my friends are going to all my favorite festivals, like on the beach during summer. I miss Christmas. I miss New Year's. My family's always come over for Christmas and New Year's to China. And I think that's what I struggled with the most, was like the FOMO of like missing out on all that fun. But it really did make me stronger and made me such an independent person. I don't know many people who have done this whole year alone. I've been alone this whole year. I haven't been able to
Yeah.
I haven't been able to, you know, spend the time I wanted to at home with my mum and nana, because my nana's been really sick in and out of hospital. And you know, I've still been trying to train and push myself, like running and doing boxing sessions, and still meeting up with the girls to train when we could during this COVID outbreak. So I just, going home wasn't an option for me. But like even this, in me in quarantine right now, I haven't left this room for 12 days. I haven't seen anyone or hugged anyone for like 2 weeks. You know, I left America 2 weeks ago. And I'm fine. I'm chilling.
That's
Everyone's
great.
like, Liz, are you okay? Like calling me every like 20 minutes. Like I think people really thought I was going to lose my mind in here, but I've been hanging out with my best friend, which is me. So I do owe, and I'm going to go back to China. I owe a lot of those years, like being so isolated, being the only person on the team that speaks English. To those years in China, they really did make me stronger. And I wouldn't change any of my journey for anything. You know, I would relive all the tough times, all the heartbreak, you know, all the pain and all the good times to be right in this spot once again, because where I am, I'm so grateful for every moment. I live such a blessed life.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
Um, I was gonna talk about training and mental health later, but it seems like you've brought it up. It's a really good thing to talk about it now. I think you have over the years gotten better and better at really sticking to your guns in terms of maintaining your training volume for your mental as well as physical health. So one of the things people don't understand about you is that you train pretty much every day. Like you're a bit of a gym junkie. You've always got a bike near you.
If it wasn't for
Got a bike in
this,
the background.
shout out South
For those that are
Australia
just on
Institute of
audio, because
Sport.
probably 70% of our people are going to be just listening to this in the car. These
Okay.
in the background here in the
Yes,
video
I'm
has got
pointing to my exercise
gas
bike.
exercise bike. What have you got there? What kind of bike is it?
It's a Watt bike.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's a Watt
fancy.
bike. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Rolls Royce right there. Yeah.
So thank you, South Australia Institute of Sport. They got a bike up in my quarantine gym here in Adelaide for me, and given me a big
Yeah.
roller and band. So yeah, if it wasn't for I would have lost my mind in here if it wasn't for the bike. And
Yeah.
I don't know many other people that are doing 7,000 steps a day in their quarantine room, but it's been a
How do
goal
you
of
do it?
mine. Yeah. I've been running. I've
7,000
got I've got
steps.
like a good like 20 meters to work with, so I've been doing some of like Bowden's running
Have you?
drills. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really good. It's so important. I think people don't understand what a difference doing training can like. People wait.
Mhm.
They often wait to feel like motivated to train, and
Mm.
it's like no, train to be motivated. Like once you
Mhm.
start training, you're gonna feel good. You'll want
Yeah.
to do it the next day,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
away you go.
If I
That's
eat
great.
shit, if I don't train, my mental health goes so backwards. And I was
Mm,
saying, like, I'm so happy during all of the lockdowns and isolation this year. There was probably like 3 days of 1 week where I couldn't get out of bed, and that was during all the like BML Black Lives stuff where I hit like a
mm,
really low
mm,
depressive couple of days. But other than that, like I make myself get up and walk or run every day or do some form of exercise, because if I'm not feeling good, I'm not looking good, and if I'm not looking good, I'm not feeling good. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a pretty vain person at the end of the day, but that's part of it. Like that's part of the obsession of being an athlete and being the best. Like, you got to keep your skin folds low. If I put on weight, that's going to put on extra load on my Achilles and my knees and my
mm.
back. So I do have to stay on top of myself, and I do have to keep myself accountable. But I'm very lucky that that accountability comes natural to me.
Yeah, it's really good. I think,
Mm,
and it gives you that longevity, and it gives me real confidence too that when the time does finally come for you to retire from basketball, I just know
mm.
you're going to stay fit and healthy your whole life. You're not going to be one of those people that loses that.
No,
It's just a lifelong thing,
I'm gonna be a MILF.
which I think really matters. Yeah. Now, let's talk. Let's shift gears for a minute. Let's talk a little about the passing of Kobe Bryant and
Mm,
his influence on you, because
mhm,
you were lucky enough to work with him a little bit,
mm, mhm,
and I think he was, I think that's been an important part of your journey.
mhm.
So sad, but so important as well. Tell us all about that.
So when I started playing basketball, he was my favorite player. The only couple of games I saw of NBA when I was growing up, it was the Lakers and it was Shaq and Kobe. And everyone would always say, "You're baby Shaq, you're baby Shaq," and I was like, "No, I want to be Kobe." So I was always the
Yeah.
post player, like doing the most. Like I always wanted to shoot threes. I always wanted to dribble the ball. I wanted to be that clutch player. Um, and um, I only wore Kobe shoes growing up. I was obsessed with him. Like he was it for me. He was the one. And then I finally got an opportunity to meet him. He brought the Mamba girls to our first game of the season last year with the Las Vegas Aces, and he came into the locker room afterwards, and I was that was my first time meeting him, and I met his daughter Gianna there that day as well, and she goes to me, "Dad talks about you all the time." I was like, "What?"
Wow.
I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, he thinks you're a killer. Like, as a post player, he's always on about you to the post girls. Like, you know, she can't be stopped. She works on all aspects of her game. Like, that's how everyone's gonna be." I went home and cried that night. Like, to know that I'm
Mm,
gonna start crying. To know that my idol and someone that was like really like my whole life growing up, um, like respected me and believed in me like that. Like, that just made my heart explode. And from then on, like we kept messaging, like he was helping me, learn. Because I talked to him, I was like, I'm a post player, so I see the game from the inside the post, but I want to be that person that knows what plays to run in what situations. Like he was helping me build that
mm,
mentality. Like I had just a week before he passed, I had just sent him like a whole lot of clips for him to go over of like me making decisions out of double teams and triple teams. So he was like really becoming a mentor for me.
mm,
And then at the start of this year, I think it was around like January 13th. We were all on, not all of us, but there was about a group of 10 with us on court with him out in LA, at, which was the Mamba Center, but is now Sports Academy again. But we were all on court with him. I was the only post player with guards doing guard drills, and he pulled me to the side and he's like, "You're here because you can do it. You can do this. You can learn this. You can be that player I know you want to be." And to know that my idol, my role model, like my mentor, believed in me, it breaks my heart that he's gone, but I'm just so thankful for that one day on court I got with him, because that's like forever for me. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Mm.
And
I'm so thankful that I got to tell him everything I ever thought of him. I was like, I'm so grateful. Like, thank you for what you did to the game, what you do for the culture, what you do for women's basketball. And as soon as I met him, I apologized for some crazy shit I had tweeted back at the London Olympics. And he said, and I straight up told him I was young, I was dumb, and I was jealous, and that's the reason I said those things. And I'm sorry. And he's like, you know what? Whatever, it's all good. And he took me under his wing.
That's so cool. So cool. So let's jump into a little bit of you just reminded me. I wanted to ask about playing for Bill Laimbeer, because you reminded me with Vegas. So you play. So you talked about a player that you loved growing up. You're playing for the player that I hated the most growing up, because he was the bad boy trying to stop Michael Jordan from getting a championship. But you guys have, and when I knew you were going to go play for him, I was like, wow, this is going to be interesting. But he's been a really good coach for you, hasn't he? What's he like?
I have never had a coach that understands me like he does. I've never had a coach that fights for me like he does. I've never had a coach that protects me like he does. He's really like my Vegas dad over there. You know, I'm really missing him and the girls this season. Like it breaks my heart that I'm not on court with them, but I had to do what I had to do this year. But his daughter, I talk to his daughter every other day. Like, Bill is a big teddy bear. He'll go out and fight for he's loyal. If anyone does us wrong, he'll go out and fight for us. And that's like me as well, you know. Back in the day, like, the media paints athletes how they want to paint them to the world. Like, how I've been painted for so many years by the media. Like, I haven't changed. I'm still me. Like, I haven't changed at all. But the world and the way people look at things has changed. So now I'm like this big advocate of, like, equality. But 5 years ago, I was being ridiculed for,
You're a mouthy bitch 5 years ago.
I'm a
Excuse
mouthy
my
bitch.
language.
I'm a bitch. I'm a troublemaker. I'm this and that. Like, I was painted out to be a cancer in the opals and in basketball. Just for being a leader in different aspects. So I haven't changed. I'm still the same. Like, you know me, Durham. You've been putting up with me for 15 years, and I'm still goofy as ever.
Yeah, you're just the same. Like, that's the thing I think that, it's interesting what you mentioned when you were talking about Bill's traits. You just reminded me, I was just thinking, that's your traits. Like, you are super loyal, you are super protective about the people you love, and you'll kill a person to protect the people you love. Like, you're intense.
I'm intense. I'm intense, but like, there was games
And you care a lot about people's feelings.
Yeah, I care. I'm a big softie, like Leo, like, oh, I'm a big tiger, but deep down inside, like, I'm a little kitten. There was games when I was with Dallas and I told Bill to shut the fuck up. Oh, sorry, while I was shooting a foul shot.
Right.
Like, he was mouthing off to the referee and I was shooting a foul shot. I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, your team can't stop me. No one on this team can guard me. You're fouling the hell out of me. I know you're telling the girls to foul me because that's the only way any other team is going to try and stop me. So, yeah, I think that's the moment he was like, I need her. And that's what he said. Like, when he got me to Vegas, he was like, we need that. We need that bitch. Like, we need the girl that's going to go on the court and is like, you're not going to beat me and you're not going to mess with any of my girls, because that's my mentality when I play.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. That's so cool. Can you tell me about this is a minor diversion, but I want to ask about your shooting, because I first saw you play when you were playing under 14s, and I hadn't started training. I was training someone else on your team
Yeah.
before you'd been sent to me by our good and lamented friend Chuck Ryan had sent you to me. And I saw you play, and it was excruciating. Like you were like,
damn, I thought you were gonna be like, oh shit, like it was amazing. Like I could see the potential in her. I knew she was gonna be a star. No.
Like you were under the bucket, miss, rebound, rebound. Like you could not. It was like the wiring was not in. Like it was the basic coordination. But you developed a beautiful shot, and a really efficient shot. Tell us, like when you were young, you were clearly kind of unco because your body's just growing so rapidly. The reference points every week you're taller than you were the week before.
Yeah.
When did you know that you could? Because you became a really good shooter and a really good threat from outside. When did you know that was going to be a thing that you could really do?
I remember I must have been like 13, 14, and I tried out for like a high school Victorian state team, and I got cut. I was going up against like girls who were like 4 years, 5 years older than me, and I remember being like, "This is the only team I got cut from, by the way." And I remember like being so upset, like in the car on the way home with mum. And I was so young, I was like 13, 14. And I hadn't developed, like my menstrual cycle hadn't come yet. Like I was a bit of a late bloomer, and I didn't really find my feet till all that happened. And my mum would always say that to me as well. I was so uncoordinated until like I really went through all those changes, and until I finished growing. I stopped growing at 16, and I think that's when I really started to like come into myself and grow into myself. But I had Osgood slatters for so many years. I think that's why I started seeing you, was my Osgood was so bad. Yeah. And then like my body was a mess until I stopped growing and I could strengthen and really come into myself. But I'm lucky.
Well, you couldn't get up the stairs at the gym. Remember when you first started? Like getting up the stairs was tough.
It was. I don't know how I've trained and played like that. Like there was mornings I would wake up crying and I couldn't walk. And as a 13, 14-year-old, like the trainings we used to do back then, like ITC, 3 mornings a week at Glen Waverley. I lived in Mornington. I'm so lucky that I had a grandmother who was, willing and able to wake me up at 5 a.m., put me in the car, drive me there while I slept, sat and read her books while we trained, drive me back to the peninsula, take me to school, take me to you in the afternoons in Balaclava, then take me to Dandenong, then take me home and feed me. Like if while my mum like worked beyond full time to like look after all of us. So if I didn't have those 2 women like working their asses off for me, like I would not be here today.
Yeah, they're both awesome. Awesome. All right. Normally I'm a little slicker at this, but there's so many things I want to ask you and
I like go off topic as well.
This is great. Okay, let's talk about the fairness thing, because I think the the things I love most about you are around fairness,
Mm.
and the things that drive me crazy about you are around fairness too.
Mm.
Like, for instance, you have a problematic relationship with the refs.
Yeah.
And that's because I once did a thing where I watched a game of yours,
Yeah.
and as an experiment, I counted every time you got fouled and it didn't get called.
Yeah.
Because that's not a stat that exists. But I'm
No.
sitting there, I've got nothing to do. I have no game day
Mm.
role, just other than clapping and saying how long in the key. They're
Mm.
my two roles.
Mm.
And I counted 45 fouls that you
Mm.
were 45 times you were fouled
And they didn't
and it
call
didn't
it.
get called.
Yeah.
And it was a good insight for me because I was like, well, that's probably why she's not like why she loses her composure
Mm.
because it's not fair. Like fairness would be that at least some of those 45 are
Mm.
called. So that's the side that can people can sometimes see that and get annoyed at it. But the flip side of that is that you really care about fairness to other people as well,
Mm.
people that aren't in positions of power, and you're a warrior to go in for those situations as well.
Mm.
And it's all the same person. It's just different elements of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you talk to us about? Well, can we talk about what happened, that ridiculousness today or yesterday, with your Playboy
Right?
thing and how you like? Tell us about that because that's just
Yo. I don't know what this like news reporter thought she was doing. Like, A, saying that she would have rather see me do my Playboy shoot at the end of the season when I was bloodied and bruised and broken. B, comparing it to some, ex NFL player that I have no idea who did Playgirl like 20 years ago. Playgirl hasn't been a magazine like since the 70s. Or C, I don't know, it was all a mess. Like, I don't understand how she can tell me that, like, me sitting out, I shouldn't, like, she was trying to say I shouldn't have sat out the season, I shouldn't have done that. And it was just, she's a mess for that. And then she sent me some apology saying, I'm sorry that you found my comments
oh well,
offensive.
she sent you the worst apology ever. She sent the
Mm,
I'm sorry you found what I
yeah.
said offensive.
And
I hate it when people do that.
I didn't post the other half, but she went on and on and on about how she connected with my mental health players tribute essay like I wrote last year, and she was the girl in high school that would put like vodka in her water. I'm like, shut up. I'm like, so you connected with that article last year, but you don't connect on this article where I talk about racism and I talk about how I'm so sick of being cornered into only being an athlete and people only seeing me as an
Mm,
athlete. Like, I'm a human and I'm going to speak on what I want and do what I want when I want. And I'm not
mm.
answering to people like that. So I'm like, you know what? Las Vegas 3 News, you ain't never hearing from me again. They are so lucky I'm not in Vegas. They beg me to go to that studio after every game in Vegas. I know
Yeah.
exactly where it is. Y'all are lucky I'm trapped in Adelaide right now.
And the thing is, I'm a naturally non-confrontational person.
Mm,
Like you're a fighter. Like
mm,
you'll get in there and do it. And sometimes my initial reaction is, oh, geez, should you say that, Liz? But then it's like, well,
mm,
if you don't stand up, and when someone continually typecasts you into what a
mhm,
man thinks you should be, or what
mm,
a white person thinks you should be.
mm,
Like it doesn't push things forward. It only
mm,
pushes things forward when you actually get out and say stuff. So
mm,
I think it's great. I think it's just a critical mass of people having the guts to stand
mm,
up and do what you do,
mm.
and then things improve over time. Like it's a glacial like pace,
Yeah.
but you got to call it out every time, because you
And
can't just let it go.
you can't let it go. And I remember a few years ago, I had a friend. Who knows what I was talking about or what behavior I was calling about. And my friend was like, "How? Why do you care? Like, how can you be bothered?" And I was like, "You know what? If I don't say it, who is? Who is going to put
Mm,
themselves out there to say this is enough? Like, this is wrong?" And I guess my tough skin and, my will to just, I can't, it hurts me to stay silent and watch behavior like this happen. It hurts me more than to not say anything. And I think it comes from being bullied from like 5 years old. You develop a pretty tough skin. Um,
mm.
And then I think I was 15 years old when I found a blog dedicated to me, talking about how shit I was going to be, how overrated I am, waste of air, things people were teasing me about being a little fatty. And these were all just parents. Like I don't even know any kids on blogs back then, but I was looking for national photos. I wanted cute like Vic Metro photos of me to put on my MySpace, and yeah, I found a whole nother thing at 15 years old. So that was the moment that I was like, you know what, I can't win everyone over, and I also don't care about what people who don't know me and aren't in my circle, like what they have to say about me.
So that's the only way you can be,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise it's impossible. And I
Mm-hmm.
think like I think it's also really hard for people who are not in the spotlight
Mm.
to understand the glare. So like
Mm.
if you and I go out for lunch,
Mm.
I'm really aware that everywhere we go, everyone is looking at you because you
Mm-hmm.
stand out because I've never
Yeah,
seen someone
a 6'8"
as
black
striking as
woman.
you are. Yeah. You know, like you
Mm.
stand out,
Mm.
and so there's that glare of everywhere you go. Someone wants a photo with you. Someone wants an
Mm.
autograph.
Mm.
Like it's a constant thing, and so you do have to just kind of have your circle,
Mm.
and still it's a generosity of spirit to everyone else. But it's also sometimes I got to have my own time a little bit. Like it's a
Yeah,
pretty interesting thing.
it was actually pretty funny. I was talking to one of the NBA point guards like a couple of weeks ago. And he's like, "Oh my God, I love the masks. Like I can just go out and about with the mask and sunnies on and no one knows it's me." I was like,
Oh,
yeah, I can't relate, babe, because even like with a mask on, people still know it's me up there. So
you got nowhere to hide.
nowhere to hide. I'm horrible at
Yeah.
hide and seek.
I remember I remember when you first met my wife and I briefed her. I said, "Okay, you're gonna meet Liz. She's very tall. You've never met a person as tall as this. Just try and act cool. Just try." So I just said, "Don't do that." And she met you and her jaw just dropped. And she's just like, "Oh my God." It was very funny. So yeah. This has been so good. I got a couple more questions. Is that okay? You got time? Yeah.
I've got all the time. I've got like what I've got
Okay.
nowhere to be, Darren, except this room for 2 more days.
Okay. Cool. I remember when you were young, in an ill-advised attempt to motivate you, I actually demotivated you really badly, and it was a really good lesson for me to learn because I didn't really understand you. I didn't understand the dynamics that you're under, and basically my thing was, we need you to really go for it because you can be the greatest of all time.
Mm.
And you were really transparent. You were great with me. You were like, you kind of got a bit withdrawn. And I said, I think I've said
Mm.
the wrong thing. And you're like, yeah, it actually that pressure, that external pressure,
Yeah.
is no good for me.
Mm.
That's flipped around though now, where it seems to me that your internal pressure to be, it's like if an object gets crushed, it's
Mm.
because there's the object and there's the stuff around it, and when the external pressure is greater,
Mm.
the object gets crushed.
Mm.
But if the internal pressure is great, it doesn't get crushed. So it's an empty can of Coke versus a full can of Coke.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're more a full can of Coke these days. Like you actually have more internal pressure than you've ever had, which makes it not stressful for you.
Mm.
Is that how you now? Is that accurate?
I guess
You don't seem to be weighed down by it at all.
I just found my self belief. Like I
Yeah.
really didn't believe in myself until until that record breaking game. Like,
Mm.
and I was like 20. I think I just turned 20. I was just before I turned 26. I really didn't
It's quite
believe.
late, isn't it?
But
Yeah.
even though everyone's told me you can be the best, you can be the greatest since I was, 16, 15, 16.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
remember going into, London Olympics. I was 20 and I was the key. I was the key to the gold medal. Like, this is the golden child. Like, she's going to help the Opals get that gold medal. And I remember just being so out of my mind, like stressed the first game. And by the end of the tournament, we came back with the bronze medal, and that was like the worst the Opals had done in years. And that broke me because I was like, me being on this team wasn't good enough, and I've put them back a step. And that's something I really carried for a
It's
few
not true.
years. No, it's not true. Like, it's a team game. But instead of all the loving and the nurturing I feel like I should have had in my younger years, it was like pressured from everyone to be the next Lauren Jackson and be the best. And at the end of the day, like, I'm not Lauren Jackson. She will always be, one of the greatest to play the game, if not the, and with Timsy, paving the pathway for us. But I'm different. I don't live and breathe basketball like they did. And if I did, I don't think I would be here because I would have lost my mind to basketball. I have a lot of different beliefs when it comes to life. I'm at a point now when I'm like, I don't really see myself playing in my 30s because it's a lot for 105 kilos to be like belting up and down the court. And I really do, like, I love the game. I love playing, but I want longevity for my body, mind, and spirit at the same time. So I'm always putting myself first instead of putting the game first. And I think athletes in the past have put the game first instead of them. But it was just about finding myself and becoming confident in myself. And, I do think I'm unstoppable. I don't think there's another girl one-on-one who can stop me in the world. That's why I get double teamed and triple teamed every game. I think I'm the most dominant player in the world. I won't say I'm the greatest. I won't say I'm the best, but I definitely think I am the most dominant. I don't think there's another post player who is as agile as me, who can shoot the ball like me, who can dribble the ball like me. And I'm talking like fives and fours. I'm not talking the threes and the fours. I'm talking like 6'6" and over. So yeah,
And you're just getting started too.
I
Like,
really, I
that's the thing.
I really just feel like I've just opened up a whole new doorway this year. Like, especially,
Yeah.
like, I'm at a place now where I'm like, I'm ready to move to America and live that dream. I might be a little bit like 10 years late to the party with that one, but
That's okay.
my past month, like, I had to get out of.
Tell us all about that. You trained in LA. You trained
Yeah,
with, was it LeBron's
yeah, yeah.
trainer? And tell us all about that. That sounds amazing.
So let's rewind to All-Star Weekend. So LeBron and his clutch, they had a party at Tao. And I rock up there with the girls, like, woo, we're in the club with the NBA boys. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, why is everyone talking about you? Like, why are they saying you're the one? Like, who are you? I'm like, who are you? Like, who are you? He's like, I'm Chris, I'm a trainer. I'm like, well, I'm Liz, I'm a player. Like, I play WNBA for Vegas, like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I don't train girls, but I want to train you. I was like, all right, bet. Well, I was meant to like leave All-Star Weekend, come back to Australia, like pack up all my stuff and go straight back to LA so I could do preseason with him and then go to Vegas. COVID hits. The whole world loses its mind. I'm like, I'm not leaving Melbourne. I've just like survived this disease in China. Like, I don't want to leave Melbourne. Anyway, the fear that the media had like put in our heads in Australia about COVID, like, I was so done with it when it got to that second lockdown and I was living alone in my house with a curfew. I was like, Alison, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need to come to LA. I need to get out of here for my mental health and like everyone's safety. So we get out to LA. This is like,
Did you fly like fully, like covered up? Like, did you
yeah.
have to, was the flight?
Yo, Durham,
How was that?
I cried that day. I had so much anxiety. I was so scared to fly to America. And it was just the fear that our media was putting upon us. I get to the airport. All the lights are off at Melbourne Airport, first of all. I'm like, I know you guys aren't having a lot of flights at the moment, but surely you can turn some lights on in here. All the shops were closed. Like, it was so eerie. As soon as I got on the
Yeah.
plane, they had me in like a big like plastic shield mask and another mask. I also don't know what the shield's meant to do, but whatever.
Yeah.
So it took me 30 hours. I had to go through Doha to get to LA, which is usually a straight
Wow.
15-hour flight. So yeah, I was just in LA for a month, just living with my agent Allison in Beverly Hills. Very blessed that she has a great 2-bedroom apartment with a spare bed for me whenever I go there.
That's so cool.
She gave me her car. So I was,
Can you drive on the wrong side of the road?
yes,
How do you go with that?
I am. Hey, do you
Just
know what?
asking.
When there's no one on the road, that's when I freak out. Because as long as there's cars
Yeah.
on the road to remind me, like, oh, I'm in Australia, oh, I'm in America, like, we're good. But if
Okay.
there's never cars on the road and I'm like having a moment, I'm like, okay, stay to the right, stay to the left. But yeah, I'm so blessed. Like, she gave me her car. I hit up Chris. I was like, yo, I'm coming out there for a month. I was on court with him every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, training with him, training with NBA guys, like playing ones, working. I was shooting the NBA 3. Like, he trains me like the
Really?
guy. Yeah, he trains me like the guys.
Yeah.
I was
That's so
having so
cool.
much fun. I was so sad to leave, but I had to come back and get ready for this WNBL season, and I can't wait to get back out there. But just having that routine of, he hooked me up with a strength coach out there as well. So I would see Adam every morning of the week. I was there at 10 a.m. and we would do a core and activation and strengthening stuff. And then 12:30, I was on court with Chris. Yeah, training against NBA guys taller than me, like boys about to go in the draft, which is super exciting to watch.
Yeah.
And that was the happiest I've been this whole year. Was just that
Yeah, that's so cool.
routine, working hard, chilling, watching the finals at Allison's every night, going out to Ashley's house. So Ashley Pete now, she married an NFL player, so they've got an amazing house out in Pasadena with a
Yeah.
big pool. So I was just chilling, working hard, surrounded by good people, and that was the happiest I've been all year.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. And so you'll go back there again, you imagine? That's in your future to
Yeah,
do some more of that
I'm
sort of thing?
trying to move back to LA for good, like as soon as I can.
Yeah. So do you
Yeah,
think this will be so you're playing this year for me, for the enemy, because I work for the Melbourne Boomers, and
yeah,
you now are back to where it all started for you as a
back,
junior
yeah,
at it's not Dandenong anymore, it's
the Flyers,
the
Southside
Flyers,
Flyers,
but
yeah.
it still feels a fair bit like Dandenong.
It's still standing on
Um,
basketball stadium, like
yeah,
that's my whole teenage years is that stadium. So
yeah.
it's
It's kinda nice to finish it out. I can respect that. I
yeah,
don't like it, and
it's
I will be barracking against you a little bit in some games,
mm,
but, I think you can cope.
it's hard. And you look at the Boomers, they've got Ezzy, they got Kayla, like y'all didn't really need me.
Mm.
And my mentality was I need to put myself in the best place that's going to lead us into the Olympics next year. So
Mm,
I've got Leilani as the point guard. I got Jenna O'Hay as my captain,
mm.
and Jenna knows me like no one else. Like her leadership with me, the way she can rein me in if I go, AWOL or I'm starting to get fired back. Like she's really the puppet master, and I'm just the puppet. So so I do so well playing with Jenna and Lay as well. Like
Yeah,
we
she's
need
an amazing captain.
Lay and I need that relationship heading into the Olympics, and also Cheryl
Yeah.
as the assistant for the Opals. We'll be doing Opals plays, and I'm not the greatest at learning plays on the fly. So
Aren't you?
you know this,
I don't know. So okay, here's the thing you might not know.
yeah,
I've done like 15 years in the WNBL. I've been
yeah,
around basketball all my life. I love the game,
yeah.
but I am like play challenged.
Mm,
Like in terms of like I don't
I'm
really follow like you guys call you I even all the language you guys use, I'm
yeah.
like I don't really know. You're gonna three-quarter front the post. I'm like, I don't even know
I'm
what
like,
that
just
means
throw me
really.
the ball. I don't know what we're doing. Just throw me the ball. I'm so bad at learning, and I'm such a visual person as well, but with the plays, I have to run them physically. Like, yeah, you can draw a play
Yeah,
on the
right.
board and I can in the crunch time, like whatever you're drawing, I can go execute. But when it comes to learning
Yep.
lots and lots of plays, like I need volume and reps like physically on the court.
Yeah, right.
Watching film, of me running a plate doesn't do anything. Like that's one, like it doesn't stick. And I'm like that with learning as well. I still keep a handwritten planner because when I'm writing it sticks in my head better. So I'm a very visual and hands-on learner. So that's they were the elements and the things that I was really focused on for which team I was going to play with. And I didn't want to play overseas after the craziness in China and this year. Yeah, I just needed home and I needed safety, and like I'm looking forward to it. I was FaceTiming Kayla George the other day and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to play defense on you. I'll just hug her like a big bear hug the whole time. Like it's going to be hard playing against those girls. Like they're my dogs. I love them. But it's business, and at the end of the day, me playing for the Flyers is going to be the best for the Opals.
I think as much as it hurts me with my Boomers hat to say it, I think it's a good call. I think it's gonna put us as a country in a good spot. This has been amazing. Thank you for sharing all your awesome stories with us. I think
Thank you.
Really interesting. I want to wish you all the best for the season, and I look forward to actually seeing you in the real. Hopefully, in the next couple of months, we'll actually be able to see each other in the gym. We'll be able to get open again.
I know it's been a tough year, and I can't wait to see all the kids in Core Advantage. And I'm so grateful for you, and I'm just blessed that when I was 13, I got sent to you because you've been my guy. You know more about me than any other person that I've ever worked with. So I'm very grateful. I'm still kind of hurt that it's taken 164 episodes, Durham, but you know what? It's all right. I'll let it slide.
I love you.
Better late than never.
Listen, keep doing your time in style in quarantine, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Bye, D-Man.
Awesome. All right.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
And before you go, hear from some of our alumni about our career transforming course, the online mentorship. Learn more about how you can join at our website.
I learnt the theory stuff at uni, but I didn't know how to apply it, and coming to Core Advantage was how I bridged that gap. So I knew the stuff, but I didn't know how to do the stuff.
It was something that I needed to do personally for my own development, and it's allowed me to work in elite sport for now 5 years, so it was a massive help.
I think mentorship is really important, and being able to ask questions all the time, and the Core Advantage course allows that because there is a big team of people that you can ask questions.
I get to train professional athletes every week, work really closely with professional athletes, which is awesome. A lot of the skills that I'm applying I learned through the program at Core Advantage.
It's not just something that you read and then think about and then go, oh, how does that tie into everything? It's something practical that you can turn around and go, this is exactly how I'm going to apply it. And the concepts that you learn help you as a coach, as a professional, as a person. Yeah, it's awesome. Definitely go and do it.
To sign up for the online mentorship, head to coreadvantage.training/mentorship.